Hi, I'm Rhonda with the Sawgrass Education Team, and welcome to Learn with Sawgrass, our Tuesday afternoon edition. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a very special treat for you today. We actually have invited one of our users on with us today. So we're going to get to kind of talk to someone who's using the system every single day about something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Just to kind of fast forward tomorrow, we will have another user on, and then later this week, I am going to do a podcast with one of our users who has an Etsy store. So we have a lot of fun stuff with our Sawgrass family this week. Rhodes is in the chat. I finally remembered to say it at the beginning. So if you do have any questions, if anything pops up, please feel free to ask in the chat and he'll be glad to answer. Comments are welcome there as well. All right, so our guest for today is a true friend of Sawgrass, and that is Lori Donovan. So Lori, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Lori, tell us a little bit about your, how long you've had Sawgrass, how long you've been in sublimation. Just tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, I purchased my first 400 in about 2018, I believe it was. And I literally bought it in October with Christmas ornaments and panicked. How am I going to now pay for this thing? I bought about 100 scrim disc ornaments, and then by the first week of Christmas, or the season, December, I had paid for the printer. I had paid to resupply my sublimation stock, and it just kind of took off. And now I'm the ceramic disc ornament lady.
Awesome. So that's kind of why I had you on today. Something that I have been wanting to do for a very long time is this concept of Christmas in July, of really buckling down in the month of July and all of our education content, a lot of our social content, being around preparing for the Christmas selling season. Because if you wait until November to start selling for the holidays, you've really waited too late, correct, Lori?
Absolutely. That first year, the problem I ran into, I sold all the ornaments I had bought and tried to restock. And Coastal's like, well, we can get those to you like February. And I'm going, well, no, I need them next week. So
yeah, exactly. So getting ahead of the game with holiday stuff is so important. We're going to try to help you in every way we can this July. We're going to talk about business planning, organization, ordering your supplies, what products we feel are going to be trending. We're even going to dive into social media selling and even marketing your business. So we really hope to give you some great tools in the month of July, but I thought this was a good week to kind of get with someone who does it regularly and just kind of have that conversation of what that may look like. So Lori, when you start preparing for the holiday season, what are the first steps you take?
The very first thing I do is I look at the calendar. And I need to give myself 2 full weekends before Christmas. So that Sunday, that's my cutoff date. And I set that boundary. If I don't set that boundary, I'm going to be all over the place in December. If you order something after that date, there's a rush fee and a minimum order. And I just have to do that because it's Christmas for me too. So that's the first thing. Then I take a look at my inventory. What am I going to still sell? What am I discontinuing? What do I need to order now? And I would suggest with this year and the way the trade embargoes and tariffs, start looking at what you need to buy now. because if you wait, those prices are going to go up. So,
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think this year, a little more than others, you probably do need to start planning ahead and getting your supplies being a big one. Now, Laura, you mentioned deciding what you're going to sell. You mentioned deciding what to discontinue or what to add. How do you go about that? How do you determine what products you're not going to carry this year that you carried last year, and so forth and so on?
if it wasn't a big seller, I'll have like a discontinued sale. Or if it was something that was a particular pain to press, I may decide, forget it. There was one, and I don't have the last one left right here, but it was a school bus and it had reindeer antlers coming off the side, and the MDF was cut so intricately. Lining that up was a nightmare. I sold so many of them, but I never want to look at another one.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point because with something like that, even if you're selling a high volume, you actually are losing money and you're losing money in your time. Because if something is highly time or a time hog, then you're not going to have time to do other things and it begins to shrink your profit.
Right. And then I'm stressed and I'm kind of biting the heads off of the people that live here. And so,
Yeah. When you're a one person show, I would say that mental health has to figure into everything, correct?
yes, it does. And I do bring in some extra hands for those last few weeks of the Christmas selling season. I have my friend Chris, who is my high shelf reaching person. She will come in and she will help me with organization, and she'll put together the shipping boxes and she'll organize the invoices and just, hand me whatever I need. And it's a very small space and we wind up kind of smacking into each other, but we make it work.
Awesome. Now, where do you sell your products?
I used to do a lot of shows. I found that I actually have enough word of mouth and Facebook business where I can cut back on doing shows. I'm making more money selling out of my house than paying for a table anywhere. I still may do one or two this season just to keep my name out there and maybe grab some new customers, but I'm selling so well just by what I'm doing on Facebook. It's kind of like just a bonus thing I'm doing.
Awesome. Now, when you go to a show, how do you choose which shows you go to? How do you decide what to take with you and how much do you take with you?
I like to make it all fit in two tubs. I'm a one woman show. I don't take my printer or my press. I don't do on site pressing just because you can never guarantee that the internet connection is going to be there. And so I look at what is currently selling, what are people asking for, and I bring things that are grab and go. Then I have what I call my lookbook, and it's just a catalog of photo album, and I put my proofs and a lot of pictures, not just mock ups, actual pressed items, so that they can look through that and they can place an order. That way, I get their email address, I get their actual address, and I get their phone number. Then that gets added to my customer database, and I will contact them again.
Awesome. Now, how do you organize your workflow? How do you set that up? What does that look like for you?
Well, previously, I used to, the night before, what I'm going to press, I would set it all up, print it all out. Then in the morning, I would just come in here, press, and as I'm looking at the invoice, I'm pressing it, and then I put the invoice with the item, and it goes to one side. Then we go and we prepare all the shipping. It's just kind of like an assembly line. This year, that's going to change a little bit because, as you know, I have the Versaflex inks, so I won't be printing that ahead of time. We'll have to set aside time for that special ink that's wet. So I think I've got that all figured out, though.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you still can do a few at a time, but not nearly as many, or do it the day ahead as you did before. So a little change to your workflow this year. Keep us updated on how well that goes.
Well, the first time that you send some two prints at the same time and forget you have to grab the first one real quick, you tend to learn and not do that again.
There
We've
you
already
go.
learned.
Yep, you do learn those things as you go. Now, when do you start ordering your supplies?
I've already started. Again, a little bit earlier than I typically would, but those tariffs are really kind of making me panic. Now, I'm set on ceramic discs. I usually order those on the closeouts in February because I know I need a lot of those, so I get them on sale. But the newer stuff, I'm ordering now. I'm making sure I have the numbers. I'm going back and I'm looking at what I sold last year, and I always add 20% because I will sell you a Christmas ornament all year long. It does not bother me to get stuck with inventory. I find that some people don't have that money at Christmas time, but maybe they have a little extra in the summer and they remember. They see me in the Walmart or whatever and they remember. I didn't have the money last year. I'm going to order it now.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, when you're ordering supplies, you're clearly ordering blanks. What are the other things that you stock up on?
Blowout paper. Now, I get mine on a big roll of butcher paper from Amazon. I believe it's like $12 or something. And Amazon is really good about getting it to you overnight, but I never want to take that chance. I always make sure I have two extra rolls on hand for the holiday season because we go through a lot of it. Um, Shipping boxes. I make sure I order my blank shipping boxes and I order my boxes. I do not take the Amazon boxes and recycle them because why should I put the name of another company out in their head where they could also maybe order an ornament? No, 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 no. They get a blank box and then I order my business boosters, my stickers, and I decorate my own boxes and order that. Also order bags, the handled bags. I don't send an order out in a Walmart bag. Again, they can buy an ornament at Walmart. Why would I tell them that? I go to Paper Mart and buy bags in bulk. And now I think I can probably VersaFlex them. So I may try a couple of those and gift boxes. Tissue paper and gift boxes because if I know that they're giving a gift, if they're picking it up from my house, I will ask them if they need a gift box. And then I will put the item in the gift box with the tissue paper and take one of my stickers and put it over the tissue paper so the gift recipient sees my company name. I'm
Very
shameless.
smart.
I'm
Very
shameless
good
when it
way to
comes
do
to
it,
that.
especially if you're dealing with someone who may not know your company. Or so, if I were to get something from you, I would definitely know the name of your brand and be able to give it. But if you sold to someone in a market where they're seeing a lot of different people, they may forget, they may not remember that. And those business cards do move around, they don't stay in the box. So that sticker is a great idea to make sure that the buyer knows, or the recipient knows exactly where the buyer got it, and then they can go there in the future. So really smart idea there.
Also, the business card is in with the item too. I put all of that in there. I'm telling you, I am shameless with the business cards.
Yeah, definitely. Now, how do you track sales?
I use an Excel spreadsheet and then I have a column for notes. So if you were to call me for the first time, we've never met, and you messaged me on Facebook, I would probably ask you to do a video call or an audio call so I could get a sense of what you want. And I would ask you, is it a gift? Okay, so it's a gift and you're going to a baby shower. Who's having a baby? And I'm just being nice and I'm having a conversation with you. And the entire time we're having this conversation, I'm typing that in my notes. So now your daughter's having a baby in July and you need this shower gift. And in November, you're going to get an email or a message on Facebook from me asking if you need a baby's first Christmas ornament. So I keep, you get that personal connection going and they feel like you're really interested, and I am. But then I have those notes to go back, and every single month on the first, I check that spreadsheet and I go through and who do I need to touch base with?
Yeah, that's great. That is such an awesome way to do that. And so you're keeping record of names, emails, phone numbers, and then what they purchased as well?
Yes. So if they purchase a photo ornament, I always those like 10 times, I can't stress how many times you need to reach out to them again, because then they have a collection. Every single year they have a photo ornament of their grandchild and they see the progression of them aging, you know, or the family photo, you can see the progression. So those are the people you really want to grab and keep.
Awesome. Yeah, that's such a great idea for that. Now, how do you, and you've kind of alluded in a couple of ways here, but how do you go about attracting customers?
Rhonda, I have been known to drop my business card in restrooms. I'm telling you, I am shameless about it. I will probably like tonight go to dinner wearing my Nana Claus shirt because I will get attention. I wore it today because we were going to talk about this, but I probably won't change. And people will ask me, and then I will say, "Oh, I had an interview to do today," and "Oh, you made that," and go on about that. I have dropped my checkbook cover that I sublimated over onto the register. I'm terrible. I have no shame. But
You know,
I
this
will
is
do that.
kind of an interesting conversation, Lori, because you're going to get my podcast. As we said, the new Ink Differently podcast will drop Thursday or Friday of this week. We're going to say Friday to be safe, and that you can find on Spotify, on Amazon Music, and on Apple Music as well. But in that podcast, I talked to, like I said, one of our customers who sells, and he actually does marketing professionally and talks about just this concept because he said he feels a little self-conscious about promoting himself. That doesn't seem to be an issue for you, correct?
No, because I don't do it like in your face. Like I'm not like dripping in earrings I did. It's just a shirt. You know, the funny story about the business cards though was I was dropping them in doctors' offices and things, and I'm like, how much traffic does the Walmart bathroom get? So I dropped some completely on purpose. I was shopping with my mom, come out of the restroom long before her. She's in there doing her hair, I don't know what. And here she comes. Laura, you dropped these. And I'm going, go put those back.
Oh, that's so funny.
So, but I don't have that, nobody's going to beat your drum harder than you. So,
Exactly. And I feel if I sold, this would be something I would struggle with is how to promote my business, how to do that. And but you are doing it in such a great way, especially, wearing your own merchandise, people asking questions. That's such a good way to start that conversation and such a great conversation starter.
well, then I also send my granddaughter to school. I don't send her to, her parents do, but I make sure she's outfitted in any personalized item that I can possibly make her. Water bottles with the school theme on it to kind of get into the eye of the PTO. Um, Other parents, her shirts and her teacher Christmas gifts are all sublimated items.
Yeah, awesome. Now, Lori, as we look forward to the holiday season this year, what products do you think are going to be big? What do you see as being trending products for people to make and sell?
Well, I really think that the wood ornaments are going to be huge. We saw them a little bit last year, but now with the Versaflex inks, I think that opens up a whole new avenue to sell those. And I think that's going to be one of the big items. Then anything home decor. People want to, they just want to relax and have that homey feel. So this is something that I'm actually introducing this year. I had them last year, but I didn't really think that they would take off. But I'm doing the throw pillows, and I still have my pressing pillow in here because I don't have a pillow form yet. But I think home decor is going to be huge. But those
Yeah,
wood
I'm
ornaments,
kind of in the same wagon with you, Lori. I think the wood ornaments, the one I'm going to do today does not have a hole in it. As you said, very easy to add a hole, but you can also buy them. I actually sent you a link over the weekend, or a label for some that were on sale online that looked like they would be a good deal in a large quantity, already with both the hole and the ribbon. Or not the ribbon, but the twine. So yeah, I do think the wood ornaments are going to be big, but we have internally had this conversation about all the home decor items that we can now do, and that's where getting a head start is really good, because if you're buying stuff to decorate your house for Christmas, then you really need to have those up and for sale in mid-September, I would say, Lori, am I
yeah,
correct?
yes,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
mid-September, because most, and I saw this last year in retail, I'm one of those purists. I don't feel you decorate for Christmas until Black Friday, but I did see that creeping all the way up to November 1st, and then in some cases even before that. And so really October's your selling month to have it for people to have in their houses to decorate in November. And with our VersaFlex system, now that you can do both your traditional sublimation with your mugs and your tumblers and all of those things, but by switching out the paper to the VersaFlex Lite, now you can go on to that wide range of fabrics. So yes, Lori, I think pillows are going to be
Yes.
huge this year because there's such a variety, and to be able to do those Christmas themed pillows, but also we've had great success with knit blankets and chenille blankets. We're going to have some content out for you in July about some of the other fabrics, but I think between the blankets and the pillows and then the tableware, the napkins, the placemats, all of this that you can personalize with VersaFlex. I think home decor is definitely the way to go. And then, of course, we're able to add in these new materials for ornaments. Anything else you think is going to be trending as far as products go this year, Lori?
Table runners have always been huge, but a lot of times they are the cotton. So I think we can now corner that market as well. And the ability to just walk into a Walmart, walk into a Target, and take it off the shelf, decorate it, and sell it without having to wait, that's phenomenal. We don't
Yeah,
have to
I was in
wait
a
for that
craft store
shipment.
the other day, and they had a whole wall of pillows, and they were all neutral colors, flat texture that would be perfect. Just remove the form, print it, press it, and then put the pillow part back in. And especially with your craft stores having sales, keep an eye on those, stock up. You may even this year stock up after the holiday for next year. But there's some really, I just think home decor and the ornaments are going to be massive this year.
And what's funny? The wood slices with MDF, we have a faux wood slice design and a shape that somebody who custom cuts MDF cuts us the shape so it looks like, now we don't need it looks like, we can do it on the actual wood slice. So that's going to be,
Yeah.
and I think little woodland creatures on there is going to look cute.
Yeah, I put in my request today for new designs for the design tool that are kind of that country motif for Christmas, because I think they're going to look so great on this. And then I know we have some great plaid stuff coming in the future too. So really excited about what we can do and some of the ideas we can have for that. Now, that kind of takes me to my last question, Lori. What kind of designs do you see as trending for this holiday season?
Well, I think we're going to see the farmhouse and rustic motif still a big force. Classic is always going to have its place. And then we always seem to get those kind of those humor designs around social issues. In 2020, it was all the masks and the toilet paper ornaments. Last year it was the opposing political views. I think this year, I I think somebody's going to come up with a cute way to put the whole tariff and political issue on a Christmas ornament. So there's going to be a sector where that's big, but I think the rustic is going to be the front runner.
Yeah, now I forgot in our last question and in this one to throw in Rhodes's opinion, but Rhodes really thinks that the big hit for this Christmas is going to be Christmas stockings. Stockings.
Yes.
He is very excited about Christmas stockings, and the big thing is what Lori said. You can now go to a store and buy a plain stocking, whether it's linen, whether it's burlap, whether it's any of these things, and then now you can press onto them if you have the VersaFlex system. And so Rhodes is putting stockings really high on the list. And as far as his favorite design style, he thinks you can never go wrong with traditional Christmas styles.
Right. Now,
I kind of feel like there may be a trend towards occupational. So whether it be tote bags, whether it be t-shirts, whether it be Christmas ornaments, getting them designed for teachers, getting them designed for civil servants, getting them for doctors in your life. I kind of feel like that may be military as well, maybe kind of the way to go this year as a theme, whether it be things for the Christmas season or gifts you give that will then be used into the year. I kind of see occupational as maybe a trend too.
Now, this is a military one that I've had for a couple years now, and it's actually two ornaments crazy glued together, but it's dog tags.
Oh.
And the hanger is actually the bead, the ball chains. So those are really big. Those are always a hit. But now,
Yeah.
to Rhodes' point, he kind of hit on something that's very near and dear to my heart, because the first craft item I ever sold was embroidered stockings. And I am very excited to not have to embroider stockings this year because it takes so long. And then I can just put them on my press and be done with them in 30 seconds, rather than it takes me just a name, probably 20 minutes to embroider it. So I can turn those over back real quick.
Yeah, and that's actually, you'll see it. We have some new content coming in. Some of the materials, when you put the design on it with the VersaFlex light, it does look like it has been embroidered. It does give that same effect and that same style. You'll notice that we did have a good cross-stitch collection that dropped earlier this year. I think some of that's going to look great on those materials. But when we talk about the stockings, whether you're doing initials, whether you're doing a true traditional Christmas design, whether you're doing a full name or something more cutesy for a kid, whether you're doing that first Christmas stocking, remember, if they have a first Christmas stocking this year, they're going to need a new stocking next year. So those things are really, really good. And I think Rhodes may be correct. He may be battling me, because I think the ornaments are going to be the biggest, but I think stockings may be up there too. And then Santa hats too. Two things that there's been some variety on that you can buy for sublimation, but there's a whole world out there that's new for us if you have that VersaFlex system. So I'm actually, Lori, if you'll just kind of chat with me, I'm going to go into the system and I am going to make a wood ornament today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my Sawgrass. Rhodes, have we had any questions or comments?
No questions, but Lou did say that she's in the dog world, so she thinks photos of pets are going to be hit on everything.
Yeah, and I think that's actually, thank you, Lou. We actually are going to do a pet ornament today. I think pets are huge. I think that there are a lot of people that do have pets that are like family members. So I think that's going to be a huge one. Now, my ornament is a little on, well, my piece of wood is a little on the big side. It's really a coaster more than an ornament. I know it's roughly in that 3 to 4 inch plane. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull up a coaster.
Now, Rhonda, with the pets, someone that we both know and love is very fond of letting people know that folks will spend exponentially more money on their pet than they spend on fathers for Father's Day.
That is a good point. People who adore their pets, and most of you probably know by this point, we have an office mascot who comes and visits us. And he's a very beloved pet, and he gets his bow ties, he gets his neck scarf. So I'm pretty sure there's an ornament already, but if there isn't, we'll make sure there is one for this year. All right, so I'm going to jump into designs. I love the filter function. It really helps me get to exactly where I need to be. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into Christmas. Lori, I know this is near and dear to your heart. What colors do you think are going to be big as far as Christmas goes this year?
I like the traditional red and green. I get very, very particular, and I go in and I pre-press my red and my green. Now, see the green for the lighter leaves. To me, that would be too light. I like that very bright green and the deep Christmas red. And I test press that not only on ceramic, but I do fabric and I do any item, metal, any item I think I'm going to be pressing. I do a test for each one to make sure that that color is presenting the way I want it to before I get into the creating side and the holiday crunch. Because nothing is worse than knowing that your red is off when you're knee deep in orders.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you and I are from the same school on this. I say keep some scrap fabric. Now I would say keep some scrap wood around as well. Just to kind of press, because like Lori said, knowing which color works, maybe doing a swatch on just a random piece of wood or on a random scrap of fabric and then marking it with either typing in what the colors is, the RGB values or the hex code, or adding it after the fact with Sharpie, just so you know, is really, really a good way to prepare and make sure that you have that. Now, Laura, you do that a lot, right? Like you have swatches and everything, and then I know you have a notebook.
Yes, I have swatches, I have notebooks, and now I have these cool color cube cards that I bought so that I can reference color palettes. And I go back to that and reference it all the time. When I got the VersaFlex inks, I started doing wood. Okay, does this red look the same on the wood as it does when I want to do ceramic? Because the wood is more of a yellow toned item and ceramic is white. And since our inks are translucent, that tannish, yellowy color is going to show through, and I need to know if I need to adjust something.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, the thing that I have been having fun with is using grays on the wood to give the illusion of white. So
Yep.
if I do a red and right next to it is going to be a white area or a light, I will go into that color area and pick a gray. And it just kind of tricks the eye into think thinking it's seeing white when it's not.
Yeah, most definitely. All right. All right. So, yeah, Lori, and you raised a good point for me. I have not checked this printer in a few days. I did a nozzle check and I see that I need to quickly do a head clean. So I'm going to do a quick head clean before we get started. But yeah, all of this is part of your preparation. So when you're starting a session, I know you have a pretty good workflow that you do. What are the things that you make sure to check, or the things you make sure that you have in place before you get started printing?
I always run a nozzle check when I know I have a busy printing day coming up. I always run a nozzle check just to make sure that I don't miss anything. When you're going fast, you may not notice that slight banding. So I run that nozzle check to make sure. I check my ink levels. I don't want to start a larger job and realize that, oh wow, I accidentally forgot to order the magenta. If that's the case, well, I have multiple printers. I can switch things around and send it to a different printer. But if it's something big like a garden flag, that's got to go to the 1000. So if that printer doesn't have enough ink, I'm in trouble. So I'm always making sure that I have my supplies and it's all set up. Usually the night before I go to bed, I make sure I'm all ready to get in the office and rock it out, and I just kind of get into like this zone. And then if, mistakes happen. I've told you this a million times, Rhonda. I forget to remove the plastic off of the MDF. I know I know I will fall in that trap every single time. And I still do it. But we just kind of toss that over our shoulder, get another print, and keep moving.
All right, so I think my head clean is going to finish in just a second. But one of the things that I would urge you to do periodically is a nozzle check, just to make sure everything's right. But then again, another thing to check is your paper feed belt. So don't feel nervous about opening that top lid and looking down at your belt to see if there's any damage or anything going on. It's easy to clean it, to get anything off of there, but knowing to do that is such a huge thing. And I would say, Lori, I usually say kind of take a peek at your paper feed belt once a month or so, maybe every 2 weeks or so when you're doing holiday printing, would you say?
Oh yeah, definitely. And if you ever hear an odd noise, if something happens, or if you get a paper jam, open that lid and check that belt. Because if there is any dirt or debris on there, that's going to affect how your paper is going to feed, how your print quality. And if there's any sort of noise, you want to make sure that there's no actual damage to the belt. And it goes a long way in your printer health if you start to see where you get those little dotted lines down your prints. Wipe down your exit guide. And that's all great information that Sawgrass has in the knowledge base. It's right there. So support doesn't even have to be open. It's right there on the website. It's very clear and concise, and you should never be afraid to take a peek and just do those maintenance things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know that's one of your big points that you make in your Facebook group is getting familiar, and in your workshops, getting familiar with cleaning those parts, doing those things. I think I'm good, so I'm going to go ahead and print this out and we'll get it pressed.
Well, what always amazes me is anytime I have to explain to someone that they need to clean their capping station, there's two things that I always stress is a Sawgrass printer needs to be left powered on at all times. And that we treat our printer with respect. We treat it well so that it serves us well. And then the first thing I'm going to tell them to do is stick a screwdriver in the hole. And the second thing I'm going to do is tell them to pull the power. And they kind of look at me and they're like, you want me to do what? And it's, trust me, it's on the Sawgrass website. You can do this.
All right, so I noticed, and I'm going to show this to you, it pulled more than one sheet. So when it did that, it actually left some ink somewhere. So we were just talking about this. But you'll see there's some ink at the top of my page. So I've cut that off. I don't want to risk getting that on my ornament. So I normally would kind of cut this down a little bit anyway with that VersaFlex light paper. But, you know, I did go a little bit more than I probably would have normally just to make sure any of that ink's not on there, doesn't accidentally get on my design.
And what a lot of people also do not realize is there's not only the top cover. You want to look at the rear of your printer and open that back cover, and you can see your rollers and have access to the roller system. And just make sure that there's no ink on those rollers and wipe it down really good with some alcohol.
Now, with the VersaFlex, and Lori, if I talked over you, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
With the VersaFlex light, you do need to get it on in about 10 minutes. You don't want it to sit too long. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down. I've got it pretty lined up. It looks like it's centered for me, so I'm going to drop that on. Now you notice I am flipping it over. I don't find that there's an issue flipping it over with it smearing or shifting. Typically I'm pretty good with that. With something like this, your method may be the opposite. You may want to do it by just dropping it on. But you know, it really is a preference. I see a lot of people doing it my way, but you can do it the other way as well.
I do it the same way.
Now this is going to be $3.75 at 30 seconds. I think I did say this is the VersaFlex ink and this is the VersaFlex light paper. It is that uncoated wood. So it is 30 seconds at $3.75. Medium pressure. May have my pressure a little high, so I may have an issue on that, but we'll check it. But I think we're good. Let's see how this turns out. Now, while you have about 10 minutes to get it on there, you do want to peel that off really quickly. So we're going to jump right in and do that. Look at me. I hesitated a little bit, but I was still fine. All right, is this camera good?
That's good.
All right. Look at that. Add a little hole to the top, a little red ribbon. Great ornament for my cat. They'll never know that it's a dog print, not a cat print. But I think it looks great. All right. Well, Lori, do you have any other tips for preparing for holiday sales before we go?
Just your own mental health just take care of yourself, because it's very easy to get sucked into that whole rush of everything, and set your boundaries and stick to your boundaries, and you'll be fine. And if you mess up, deep breath and start over. You know,
Yeah, and the customer is always right, but the customer is not always right. If
exactly.
you have set those firm boundaries, don't bend on those. I think that's an amazing tip. And something that we definitely want to remember as we go into this holiday season is, first of all, set boundaries. Make sure that you're allowing yourself enough time, because if you are stressed and you are rushing, the chances of you making a mistake are going to be a lot greater, whether that be a spelling mistake, whether that be others. So definitely do not let people push you into doing things that you're not comfortable doing, especially timeline things, because you are going to end up against a wall typically if you do that. And then the other is that self-marketing piece. Lori does it so well by wearing her shirt, by handing out business cards, by making sure her company's name is on her granddaughter's water bottle. Just kidding, but not a bad idea. But any of these self-promotion things are great. So remember that as we prepare for the holiday season. And Lori, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, so tomorrow morning I will be with Miriam. I'm going to mess up her last name because I've never heard her say it, but I'm going to say Goebbels. She is one of our product ambassadors, brand ambassadors, and she is in the Netherlands. So she'll be joining us at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning right here. So make sure you tune in or watch that recording later. So glad to talk to you today, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.